every idea I have is necessarily convenient. Like, for example, today, 40 minutes before my pottery class, I had the sudden itch to 3D model and print a clay tool. I've seen people do it before and achieve the coolest geometry on their vases and bowls, so I thought, it can't be that hard. Well, the modeling and printing was not hard. The technique and the clay throwing, well, that's a different story that you get to witness throughout this video. But when it comes to these last-minute ideas, it's like a brain work. Within the limited time, you have to decide whether or not you want to do it. It's like, well, I have to. This itch isn't gonna go anywhere unless I make the idea a reality. So in those 40 minutes, we got a clay tool, but we also got this MacGyvered phone stand so I could bring you along to the pottery class and highlight my very strong pottery skill set.
Just kidding, I'm no pottery expert, but this Instagram page gives you plenty of examples to get the gist of what ribs are. And I'm pretty sure they're called ribs, are typically made out of wood. And they're basically these cutouts and shapes that you use to form your pottery. Here's another example. You can get very specific geometry based on the profile. Got a scallop here, zigzags. We have this square trapezoidal pattern. I really enjoy how creative these tools are, and it goes on and on. This one looks like a ravioli. This was what I was kind of going for in terms of the scallops. Got a caterpillar tool. As you can see, it's one scallop, one cutout at a time. Wow, that looks very good. So in terms of designs, I think I want to do like a zigzag and a scallop. So I'll do a zigzag one with a big zigzag on one side and a tighter one on the other. And then I think I want to do a scallop. So I'll do 4, I think, and then maybe a smaller scallop. So we've got 1 and 2. I feel like that's a good scallop. Now I'm going to duplicate this using the linear pattern feature. I don't know if this sharp point will do very well, so let's add a fillet between these two. Maybe like 2. Why can't the sketch be so complete? What do you not like? There we go. I think I like that. Maybe 1 fillet radius. Okay, so then I'll add that here to the rest of them. And here. Yeah. Okay, I do want to do another one that's like half as small. So instead of 20, I'll do 10. There we go. Great, and then -10. There we go. Of course it shifted. Doesn't like that. What's going on in my sketches? Jeez, okay. This, how thick do I make it? 5 millimeters? I feel like that's probably good for an extrusion. What I will go in and do, since I noticed the tools, they have like they point. So I think either a fillet or a chamfer. Let's see. 2? Ugh, okay. 1. That is what I need, but 1.5? See if it'll do greater. 2.5. Yeah, something like this. Exactly what I'm looking for. And I'll do the same on this side. I also don't know how well this will print considering this is a very sharp point, but we'll find out. Okay, so add a chamfer here, turn off tangent, make it 1.5, 2, 2.5. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I'm looking for. 5mm might be too much. It's kind of thick. I will change the extrusion to 3 and see if the chamfers break. And if they do, we'll adjust that. Actually, I think that's more ideal. Okay, here's version 1 of our clay tool. That's a 10-minute model. 30 minutes before I need to be somewhere. Let's export this, slice, and see if I can print it in time. Clay tool scallops. A 20-minute print. Alright, I'm going to do something to this. Okay, let's see if this actually saves us any time. I know it'll save material, but even if I have one tool to bring, I'm okay with it. Yeah, it saved us 2 minutes. Okay, well, honestly, this looks like it's going to be pretty uncomfortable to hold, so I'll just print this one. Actually, I think what I'll do is squish it a little. I don't like how long it is in this direction. Let's make it 75. 85. There we go. Slice plate. Yeah, this actually saved us about the same amount of time as trying to cheese hole it. Alright, let's get printing. Gotta wash that glue off. I'm dressed and ready to go to Pottery with 8 minutes to spare. I did build this super weird contraption with rubber feet, zip ties, and painter's tape just so that I could try and film while I use this at Pottery. I'm still not all too great at filming in public in front of people, so not only will this be a 3D printing experiment, it'll also be a social experiment for myself. Alright, here's my second attempt using the 3D printed tool. The first step is to throw your mound of clay as close as possible to the center of the wheel. Then you need to make a tight seal between the clay and the wheel, so as you can see I'm doing that with my fingers, just pinching the clay on the bottom and then adding some water to smooth out the seal. Then we start moving the wheel. It's really important to keep your hands wet as well as the piece wet so that everything glides better, and you know it's wet enough when the light is reflecting off of your part. Before you can do any shaping, it's important to also center your clay while it's spinning, so you use your hands to center it and basically minimize like how much your mound irregularly moves around when it spins. Then using your finger, you find the center of your clay and you start making the hole, bringing up the walls, flattening out the bottom. So right now I'm just trying to shape it to tall enough so that I can start using the tool. There's this technique as well where you pinch the wall of the clay and bridge your finger over it to kind of create an H with your fingers and then basically flatten out or thicken up the rim. So here's my attempt at using the tool. I did also soak the tool in my water bucket and made sure my part was still pretty wet so that it would glide well. It started off great.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
Got this. Oh, it came right off. It came right off, so I didn't have a good seal. But well, thank you, because that turned out way better.
Okay.
It slipped off.
Oh yeah? Well, you caught it, so.
I like how weird it looks.
Yeah, it actually looks really good.
First try, yeah. We can practice. It's chunky.
Let me just say, if you've never done wheel pottery, it is a lot harder than you think. This is my second time trying wheel pottery. The first time was so bad that none of my pieces were successful, and the instructor felt so bad that she gave me one of hers. This time around, I think I had a bit of a redemption arc, even though they're not perfect. At least they held up, and I'm realizing that using tools like these is a lot harder than I initially thought. You don't just go full force. You start filling in each one of these on your way up. You have to hold this very steady. It's a lot easier if you keep it flush onto the wheel as it goes around. Also, you should have like a finger holding the inside of your bowl or cup as you're applying pressure with this tool. I had a chance to chat with the instructor near the end to see if this required any design changes, and we compared it to the wooden ones they had in the workshop. The wooden ones don't have as much of a point here. They're a lot smoother. The arcs also are a lot more shallow, and if you recall in the video how I added fillets to bring the arcs at a point, it would have been better if I just kept them flat just from the extrusion operation. This made the tool take off so much more clay, to the point where you saw in my previous video, along with the fact that I didn't adhere my clay to the wheel very well, the piece came right off. All in all, I would not necessarily call this a fail. I'll call my pottery skills a fail. But with some practice, I definitely think this could have given good results. It already gave pretty cool results on my last smaller piece, and you can do so many other shapes with this. It did show the potential of a 3D printed tool like this. Cost me cents in plastic. I tried a new technique in pottery. Sometimes it's just good to do the things you're not good at, and I'm sure that's backed by science, how that helps with your brain and everything. But there's a satisfaction, even though you might suck at something, of trying a new skill, learning the strategy, and even watching other people shine at something. The instructor had one of these of her own, and she made this beautiful vase with the same geometry that I was looking to achieve on my final piece. I have modified the CAD file for this scallop tool and also created a zigzag one and uploaded those files on Thingiverse, which are linked down below if you'd like to download and try them yourself. If you ever get the chance to do any kind of pottery, I would highly recommend it. It is a lot of fun. Also, it really tests your wrists and forearm, your strength and stability. Kind of have to lock in tight to work with the clay on the wheel. I will say I'm more of a fan of actually sculpting. This is something I made in another pottery class, not the wheel one. And I made this mug with a crying sun and a moon, and I think this turned out a lot better than the ones today. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.